So the last section of level 7 is 7.5, which we cover double angles and half angle formulas. So all of the double angle formulas arise from the sum or difference formulas. I'm not going to go through the derivation of how we got these, but I just want you to be aware of. So we have one formula for sine and three different formulas for cosine. And why we have three is because, remember, cosine is cos, cosine, sine, and we can replace each one of those, depending on what we're given, with 1 minus sine squared or 1 minus cosine squared, which gives us these last two. So sine of 2 theta is 2 sine theta cosine theta, or cosine of 2 theta is one of these three. Okay, so we start here. If sine theta is 3 over 5 and it's in the second quadrant, find the exact value. Remember, whenever you give in a quadrant problem, we're going to draw a right triangle. There's our theta. We know that this is 3 and 5. So now, if you remember, this would be negative 4. Cosine of 2 theta, we go to this formula, 2 sine theta cosine theta. So sine 2 theta is the same thing as 2 sine theta cosine theta. Well, we know what sine theta is, 2 times 3 over 5. And cosine theta is negative 4 over 5. So 2 times 3 times negative 4 is negative 24 over 25. It's not as easy as going, oh, well, you just double the top and then that's 6 over 5. If it was 6 over 5, that's not inside the domain of sine. Sorry, the inverse sine. So it doesn't work. We can't just do that, and that's why we need these formulas. So cosine of 2 theta. Well, same triangle. We can use any one of these, which seems like the easiest. I'm going to say, since we are given sine, let's just do 1 minus 2 times sine squared of theta, which is 1 minus 2 times 3 over 5 squared, which is 9 over 25 times 2, 1 minus. So that is 25 over 25 minus 18 over 25. So if I subtract that, I believe that gives me 7 over 25. And that is the cosine of 2 theta. Okay, so likewise, we could find the formula for the sine of 3 theta by saying that sine 3 theta is equal to sine 2 theta plus theta. And then we would use our sum and difference formulas. So this would be sine cos. Sines stay the same, so plus cos 2 theta times sine theta. Okay, now we know what sine 2 theta is. If we go up here, it's 2 sine theta cosine theta. So this is 2 sine theta cosine theta times cosine theta plus, well, I can do one of two different things. I know I'm going to end up with a cosine squared, so what I'm going to do is use the cosine squared minus sine squared. We can get multiple derivations from this now. So we're just going to say cosine 2 theta is cosine squared minus sine squared times sine. So this gives me 2 sine theta cosine squared theta plus cosine squared theta sine theta minus sine cubed of theta. Now, this could be one of our formulas. If you see we have a sine and cosine squared common between all three of these. So we have 2 sine cosine squared. This is theta. This is theta. And then this would be 2 plus sine minus sine squared. Actually, let's just stop right there. And this is our proof. Okay, so last bit for part 2 is our half angle formulas. So this is where we cut our angle in half. So depending on what quadrant the angle is in, that's how we figure out if it's positive or negative. So if we're in the first quadrant, our angles are going to be positive. But other than that, we'll have to check. So again, I want you to be familiar with these, but I don't need you to memorize them. So sine of alpha over 2 is plus or minus the square root of 1 minus cosine the alpha over 2. And these come from our double angle formulas, if you're curious. Okay, so use the half angle formula to find the exact value of cosine theta. So this is in the first quadrant, so this is going to be positive. So cosine 15 is the same thing as, here's the hard part everyone has. It's half of 30 degrees. So when we use this formula, it's going to be the square root of 1 minus the cosine of 30 over 2. Well, 1 minus the cosine of 30 again is root 3 over 2. So we get 1 minus the square root of 3 over 2 square root. And that's our answer. This gives us our exact value. We can't simplify this on the inside anymore because we have 2 square roots. All right, the sine of 15 degrees. So the sine of 15 is the same thing as the sine of 30 over 2. So that would be the square root of 1 minus the cosine of 30 all over 2. So again, cosine of 30 is root 3 over 2. So this is the square root of 1 minus. Let's make sure that my signs see. The first one should be plus, this should be plus. That's why this one is minus. Now, just as a proof of concept, if I take my calculator and I say, I want, first off, I'm going to make sure that my calculator's in degrees. So let's just change this real quick. Click, settings, general, and change that to degrees, enter again. Okay, trig, and I want the sine 15. So what they did, as you see, is they said square root of 1 over the square root of this, and they simplified it, but these are equivalent, and that's all I want you to do. Example 4. So, use this information. We know our angle is in the third quadrant, and because alpha is in third quadrant, then, just so we know, here's our triangle, there's alpha, this is adjacent hypotenuse, and that would be -4, just in case. So sine of alpha over 2 is negative square root, because we know sine and cosine are both negative in the third quadrant. Go to our formula, 1 minus cosine alpha over 2, negative square root of 1 minus a -3/5 over 2, which gives me, if I just simplify this out, this is the square root of, that's 5 over 5, 8 over 5 over 2, which is negative square root of 8/10 or 4/5, which if we wanted to, we can really go further in this, it would be -2 square root of 4 over root 5, or -2 root 5 over 5. That's a lot of work for just this first one. Likewise, this would be negative square root 1 plus, because cosines is plus. So this is negative square root of 1 plus 3/5. Sorry, 1 plus a -3/5 over 2, which would be negative square root of 1/5, which is negative root 5 over 5. And this last one, which I will just give you the setup. For tangent, we do the square root. And tangent's going to be positive, remember, in the third quadrant. So that's 1 minus negative 3/5 over 1 plus negative 3/5, which is 8/5 divided by 2/5. 8/5 divided by 2/5. The fifths cancel, which is the square root of 4, which is just 2. So I know this looks confusing, and all it is, the hardest part is simplifying these square roots. I will give you these formulas, and all you have to do is be able to use them. All right, that wraps it up for level 7 for us.